And joining me right now is George Frangeskides, Executive Chairman of Alba Minerals. And George, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Justin. It's good to speak to you.
Now, we're going to go through some of the highlights, some of the progress you've made throughout the year. Of course, 2022 has been a tough year in the markets, but nevertheless, operational progress still continues, and we'll dig into that. And also look at the things that's coming up for 2023, hopefully. But George, before we do that, the people are tuning in right now and they're learning about the story. Just for their benefit, give them a brief summary as to what Alba's all about, if you could, please.
Sure. Well, Alba's got a diverse portfolio. Mining is the focus, always has been. We have got an oil asset, but mining is the focus and will continue to be. So we've got a unique position in North Wales. We've got the entire Dolgellau gold belt under license. We've been doing groundbreaking work in finding masses of targets regionally, but our main focus has been on Clogau St Davids, the actual old gold mine, the biggest gold producer in the UK's history, and getting that back into production. We've got two big targets that we've identified through our own drilling, and we want to get into the first target as soon as possible. We've had a few delays on the permitting front. We're working, have been working solidly on that to get that fixed. So that's Clogau really, and it is a key focus and remains a key focus for the company. But at the same time, we spun out all of our Greenland assets late last year and into a new vehicle, Greenroc Mining, which we're the majority owner of. And so that continues to be an incredibly important part of the Alba portfolio, and Amitsoq in particular at the moment is doing phenomenally well. Drilling has been highly successful, and it's looking like a project that's really going to go into production. And that's certainly how it's looking to us.
Yeah, and you know what? As you know, I'm from Wales, and I can often sense when there's a connection going on here. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, George, but I'm feeling you are in Wales. Is that right?
I am indeed in Wales. I'm in our Dolgellau office, Justin. We've got some of the rocks behind me and what have you. But yeah, no, I'm here at the moment with the team. We're doing some regional exploration, going out on some of our regional sites and just updating me on sort of progress on the regional work. I mean, as I said, there's a huge regional piece there that has massive potential. So I've just been out today. It's rather cold up here, I have to say, but it's cold everywhere, isn't it? So, but I've been out with the team, the Mark Austin and his team of junior geologists, doing phenomenal work out on the regional piece. So we hope to be pushing some of those forward in the first quarter and second quarter of next year.
Okay. Well, it's the, like I said, end of year review of 2022. So because we've got, video here, we've got the benefit of showing some visuals of what you've been looking at, working on. So if you could take us through that, and then at the end of the video bit and the end of the pitch there, or the visuals, we can get back to what you're hoping to achieve in 2023. So take it away, George, if you could.
Sure. Thanks, Justin. Okay, so this is our end of year review. I thought we'd just put a quick brief video together with some of the highlights. I mean, clearly, Clogau St Davids is a key focus for Alba. We've got two major targets that we've delineated. The main lode extension, which you can see in the middle of the screen in red, which has several components to it. And then on the far left, the Lechfraith paste chute model, the lower Lechfraith workings, as we call it. And it's a huge target, 120 meters depth. And that's all come about through our groundbreaking drilling. And these two main targets have not been known about before. So we are obviously very keen to get into those. And if you look at the Lechfraith paste chute in more detail there, you can see there's a flooded level, number 4 level. And that's what we've been trying to get into, and explore. So we need to dewater that level there. You can see there it's from number 2 down to number 4 level. The idea is to dewater all of that, pump it up to the surface, into some settlement tanks and out to the river. We've been working, as I say, on this scheme for the best part of 18 months. We have resubmitted permit applications in a very extensive habitat regulations assessment document in October, I believe. The idea is once it's dewatered, you can see there winds 1 and 2. The idea is to bulk sample. These winds will go down about 10 meters in each case, about 80 tons of material in each one. They will then enable us to verify that big target that we've got there, the gold content, and where we sink a new shaft or an incline shaft, most likely around that number 4 level going down into that big target that I just showed you. So that's the plan. As I say, we had a bit of a delay in terms of our plans. What we've done is, with the help of our MP, local MP here in Dolgellau, Liz Saville-Roberts, we had a meeting on site with herself, the Welsh Assembly member, Mabon ap Gwynfor, some community councillors and councillors, and NRW senior representatives. It was really an information meeting. It wasn't for the purpose of, deciding on anything to do with permitting, but it was really just to get everyone together, show them what we're doing and what our plans are, and answer any questions, of course, that any of them have. We had presentations from our key ecologists and geoscientists, and then this is a bit of a snapshot of our processing plant there. We had a bit of a talk before we went into the mine, and then we took the guys into the mine, and I think that was really instructive, and I think it was overall a very positive meeting. Shortly thereafter, within a few weeks, we submitted, as I say, a new document called a Statement to Inform an Appropriate Assessment. It's a very extensive document there too. That's the usual PR exercise with Liz, our MP, Mabon, the Welsh Assembly member, and Delith Lloyd-Griffiths, who's a councillor. And as I say, we submitted then a very extensive document, which we think has, certainly we believe has gone as far as we can go in terms of proving that the plan to dewater the Llechfraith shaft is a robust one. It does safeguard the environment. We've put in place serious mitigation measures. The reason for this rather lengthy and wordy slide is just to show the real key sort of section headings, if you like, for the document that we submitted, which is almost called a shadow HRA. It helps NRW to make a decision on these sorts of applications. It's extremely extensive work that's been done. In fact, over more than 2 years, probably about 4 years worth of surveying. And whilst our focus is on the lower Llechfraith, that's our key primary target, we have a secondary target, as I've said, the main lode extension. We're also looking to process the historic waste tip. We're doing other exploration activities regionally. All of that, NRW would like to be, assessed as one piece. In other words, they want to have a full assessment of any possible future mining, future development at Clogau. So we've had to produce a really, really broad, wide-ranging and very detailed description of all possible activities in the future in relation to Clogau. So that's a huge exercise. And I think it's important that people understand that, it is a huge exercise, and there's been a huge amount of work that's gone into it. We look at the potential impacts on the local SACs, which are obviously critical for bats and for the estuary, and mitigation measures, and then look at whether we've got having a significant effect on those sites, and that we have a robust mitigation to ensure that there are no significant effects. So that's just to sort of explain how significant and a piece of work that is. Some of the slides that I'm going to show you now briefly, just to show the surveyed areas. This is for bats in the mine, the white areas. Some of the areas are inaccessible, so we don't go in there, but everywhere that's accessible that we want to potentially work in, we have surveyed over a number of years. For bats, we've also done water flow surveys extensively within the mine, and assessed the flow of water, which is very important as well in terms of assessing the impact of the dewatering exercise. We've put in humidity and temperature loggers, and we've been logging that data for a few years now. And we have other things like bat monitors, bat detectors in various points within the mine. So it's a huge exercise. And as I said, you have to come up with a mitigation plan that's robust and that protects the species in this case, and in particular, that's the bats. So we've put forward some proposals here for other parts of the mine as well, but in particular for this scheme, which is for the dewatering exercise, to exclude the bats for a period of time whilst we're working in the drainage adit and below there in the flooded, what will be the newly deflooded workings at Lower Llechfraith. So these are all, as I say, detailed plans. We hope that they will pass muster, but of course we are working, and we'll do whatever's necessary to get this scheme underway, and we hope for a successful outcome shortly. I know people have asked for, timelines and what have you. We don't want to put pressure on the regulator. It is a lot for them to think about, and we're obviously available for any refinements that are needed. But we do hope for a positive outcome this time. So we'll just have to watch this space, I'm afraid, and that's probably all I can say at the moment. What else can I say about? Well, there's the dewatering exercise, and that's how we plan to do it. And you can see there that the amount of water that flows through the river that goes by the Lake Fraith mine yard is about, it says here, on around about 1,600 litres per second. Our proposed dewatering plan involves a total of discharge of about 2.29 litres per second. So it is the proverbial drop in the ocean. So that isn't the whole answer, of course, but it just puts it into context that we're talking about a very, very small amount of water discharge comparative to the flow that's in the river. But water quality is very important. We've done huge amounts of test work to show that the water quality is not affected. So that's, I think, just to give people a bit more of a background on the dewatering exercise that maybe they haven't seen before. We're also looking at the waste tip. We want to process the waste tip, and we're in the middle at the moment of pre-application inquiries, and putting that together so that we get robust and detailed feedback from the different authorities, the planners, the NRW again, and so that we can put in a formal planning application to obsessed with dewatering, as you can probably tell, to get on and exploit the waste tip. And again, a lot of work has gone into the scheme for the waste tip to make sure that it works, that it has a minimal impact on the environment and local residents. So there's more detail of that obviously I haven't got time to talk about today, but we'll talk about another time. We've also done a lot of community outreach. We've had a community open day earlier in the year, and we'll continue to do that kind of work to inform people what we're doing, answer any questions, good, bad, indifferent, concerns, and we'll continue to, as I say, engage with all stakeholders. Now, as you can tell, I've moved from Wales to Greenland, as you can tell by the helicopter. It's a key giveaway. And I really wanted to focus on Amitsoq and just say how, how successful it's been this year. And Amitsoq is a key, and all the Greenroc assets are a key focus for Alba. We remain a significant shareholder, majority shareholder. If we can follow our money in the future, we will. We weren't able to on this small raise that they did this time. Our focus is on spending that money in Clogau. But we do not say that we will not spend money at Amitsoq in the future and on retaining our stake in Greenroc. This is a video which I took, so it's not very good, but from a helicopter in April when we went on a site visit. Took fellow director Lars Brunner with me, and our Nomad as well from Cannes Corporate Finance. So you can see there as we go around the southern tip of the island, the upper graphite layer is prominent and the lower graphite layer. So these are the two main layers, and in fact the lower is looking like the thicker one, which you might even be able to tell from that angle. But that's our pilot and our key contractor there, who's put all the logistics together, 60 North, and Lars, our director and Greenland expert. As I say, that's been a key success this year. The drilling has gone phenomenally well. So this is our drilling in southern Amitsoq. This was the start of drilling, actually. It's a huge logistical exercise to get the rig, to get the people, to get all the equipment on site. Things go wrong. The drilling goes, a piece of equipment goes, it's not easy. You don't go around the corner to go and replace it. It can be quite challenging, but it was a phenomenal exercise. We hit graphite in great mineable widths, very high grade. It's exceptionally high grade. We're now looking at a lower graphite layer there in red that is massive, an upper graphite layer which is also big in its own right, and we're waiting on a resource assessment from this drilling. So we're expecting a significant resource upgrade. So it is a key driver for Alba. It's not just a driver for Greenroc, and people have to understand that the value in Amitsoq is going to be a key driver for Alba. And one of the ideas, one of the key drivers for the spin out was that we would continue to benefit from Greenroc's success without having the funding obligations, and that's been borne out this time. We would love to have funded the Greenroc raise and maintained our 54%. However, the markets are pretty dire for juniors. We raised enough money to keep pushing ahead with Clogau, and we did not want to raise more money at ever worsening prices to put more money into Amitsoq. We still have a huge stake, 50% in Greenroc. And as I say, if things go better in terms of the markets and we push up our share price, we will look again at funding opportunities for Greenroc. That's Mark Austin, our CEO at Alba, on site at Amitsoq. He played an instrumental role there. He was there for most of the drilling campaign, and that's the drill team with him and the project geologist as well. So, Alba has got boots on the ground in Greenroc. We are, hugely influential and supportive of all the efforts that are going on there. I know we're probably running out of time. I just wanted to show a little bit underground, because people also forget this was a mine. And this is Stefan, our CEO. And it's also important to mention that we have brought on a Greenland expert, a guy who's found a number or contributed to the discovery of a number of major mining deposits in Greenland. He's our CEO at Greenroc. We're delighted to have him. And so I think that's a major plus this year that we brought on Stefan Bernstein. Part of what we do when we go to site, go to Greenland, is very important, is the relations with government and other sort of geopolitical stakeholders, if you like. Lars and I were lucky enough to have an audience or a meeting with the US consul, Joni Simon. She's hugely supportive of what we're doing. She is very keen for projects like ours to have US partners, and we certainly are not. We're certainly open to that. We're also talking to the UK Department of International Trade. We're talking to the EU, IRMA and the EIT Raw Materials Group. So we are very much open for business, and our graphite, being where it is well located to service all of those markets. This is actually the mayor of the mayor of Karnak, or the community, the municipality around Karnak, which is where our TBS project is. So we went up there and met the mayor and talked about our plans there as well at TBS. So the reason I wanted to sort of focus on that was to show you where Amitsoq is. 7 days to Montreal, New Jersey, New York. These are key markets for the US electric vehicle sector. Even just 12 days down to Texas, where there is a big gigafactory. And if you compare that to China, 37 to 40 days, or East Africa, where there is a big graphite, hub, 29 to 32 days, we have a significant market advantage over all of those markets, those supply markets, in supplying the US. And we similarly have a big advantage when it comes to supplying Europe. We're only 4 days from Amitsoq to Liverpool and 5 days to Hamburg. Again, East Africa 30 days, China 40 days. There's going to be a massive shortfall in graphite in Europe and the US. China's going to start keeping more and more of its own graphite for its domestic EV market, and we are going to be incredibly well placed. I only wish we had more to supply both EU and UK and American markets, but we will make a decision on that in the months ahead. But we're very, very well placed, as I say. Look, just to end, we also this year have done a lot of public speaking. We spoke at the Greenland Day at PDAC, the most important mining conference in the world. I spoke at that conference about Greenroc. Spoke at the Fast Markets European Battery Raw Materials Conference. It's not just about profile raising. These conferences are a huge opportunity to meet the gigafactories, the European car manufacturers, the government agencies. And so we've made huge progress in terms of having initial discussions with all of those bodies and companies. So these sorts of events are really, really important for our rollout of our strategy. Spoke also at the Critical Minerals Association annual conference. And I'll just end there because that was probably a bit more than you bargained for, Justin. But that is just a weather monitor, as I understand it, or a wind monitor at TBS. And whilst I haven't spoken much about TBS, we didn't drill this year because we drilled extensively last year. We're still waiting on the upgrade assessment for TBS, but we did do our second year environmental baseline studies there this year, which is an important precursor to any mining license application. So we continue to push forward at TBS also, although Amitsoq, I think, has taken all the plaudits this year. That's really a summary of sort of some of the things we've been up to.
Thanks, George. Well, do you know what? Looking at all that, you sort of get a bit of an insight into the complexity it involves, just from the actual drilling. Like you got bats and water in Wales, and you got just the remoteness of Amitsoq. Like you said, if one drill bit gets broken and you haven't got a replacement, it holds everything up. And and not only that, the meeting to do in the PI you're doing, meeting dignitaries or local representatives. It's multifaceted, and I think you see the complexity involved in getting these projects going. It's like you're spinning about 10 plates at once, aren't you? Really?
You are. That's a really good point, Justin. And but it's what we have to do. We have to push forward on all these different levels to make a mining project, to make a mine. We can't just do nice exploration. We've got to do all this other stuff as well. We've got to do the PR. We've got to raise the money. We've got to take our shareholders with us. And we know that there are lots of questions about Clogau and why it's taken so long. And why I wanted to show you a bit more of an insight into just how much work has been going on. I mean, there's a lot more to say on that. But there's been a huge amount of work going on in the background and ongoing. And as you say, you've got to push forward. You've got to speak to government. You've got to look for other sources of funding, so you don't try not to dilute your shareholders forevermore. You look for debt finance at the right time, and you're looking for the right partners as well. That's why we're talking to car manufacturers, gigafactories, and other players. And they are talking to us, and that's what's amazing, is that they really are out there looking for critical raw material supply. And graphite, I saw an article the other day saying, is graphite the new lithium? Well, it's going to have its day, that's for sure. And I think all of the forecasts show that, there's going to be a massive demand for graphite and a supply constraint coming down the line in the UK, Europe, US in particular. China will be able to fend for itself, but the rest of us will struggle. And therefore, I don't really want to rejoice in that, but we are going to be in a great position at Amitsoq to supply one of those markets at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you're doing all this against a backdrop of, like you said, dire markets at the moment. And when we're in a situation like this, like you say, it's not easy. People are less willing to invest and park with their cash. So it's very difficult. But let's try and pin you down here then, George. That was 2022. So 2023, give us a milestone and hopefully a sort of time. I know you didn't want to say about timelines, but ideally, for each of the projects there, so Amitsoq and Clogau, what would what's the next big milestone you hope to achieve, and when by roughly?
Well, Amitsoq, the first thing is coming quite soon. I think we've said in January is a resource upgrade. So that's a critical piece that's coming. EISIA work is will be progressed throughout the year with a view to a mining license application, hopefully at the end of the year or very soon thereafter. I can't remember exactly what our timeline is on that, but it's as soon as possible. At Clogau, yes, I couldn't give a timeline in terms of permits because I don't want to disappoint anybody. However, we are hopeful of an answer soon, and hopefully very soon, right? So, and obviously, as soon as we have those permits for dewatering, we will crack on Once we're able to get in there, we'll crack on with the work, dewater, start bulk sampling, and doing all this other work. Safety work has to be done first, by the way. We've got to go in and make sure it's safe. I mean, no one's accessed these levels for decades, right? They've been flooded. So we don't actually know what we're going to find down there. But whatever it is, we've done rehab and safety works before. We know what we know how to do it. None of these things phase us. Yes, money is always tight in these markets. Juniors are really suffering, and there's some really, it's been a really bad downturn. You wouldn't know that from looking at the FTSE 100, of course. There's a massive disconnect between that and what the juniors have had to face. But in terms of milestones, yeah, get in there, do that dewatering exercise, get the waste pit exploitation permitted, and then implement that. We'll need a bit of work there, upgrading some tracks and maybe moving a processing plant up to the waste pit. There's some stuff there that I haven't had a chance to talk about, but we've got it all in hand. We've got a plan, and we're very frustrated, more than anyone could imagine how frustrated we are that we've had an 18-month hiatus at Clogau, essentially. But our focus is on the mine and regional work, carrying on in the background. But the focus is on that mine and those big targets that we've identified there, that we found there, that we want to be the ones to finally exploit. So, I'm hopeful we'll see major progress in the first half of next year on all of that.
Excellent stuff. Well, George, of course, hopefully we'll be the first you chat to when that happens. But thanks so much for coming on, and well done on all the operational achievements in 2022, and look forward to catching up next year. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Justin. Appreciate your time. Thanks so much.